All right, let's talk time travel. If it's real, like actually real, then we should be tripping over futuristic leftovers in our ancient history, right? Well, buckle up because the world is packed with artifacts that make absolutely no sense unless someone or something has been messing with the timeline. From power tools in ancient Egypt that defy logic to a nuclear reactor that predates humans entirely, we've got some mind-blowing evidence that might just prove time travel isn't just for sci-fi nerds. So grab your flux capacitor and let's dive into 15 odd artifacts that could prove time travel. Number 15, the 1.8 billion-year-old nuclear reactor. Picture this. You're a scientist in the 1970s, casually analyzing some uranium from a mine in Gabon, Africa. No big deal, right? Except, oops, the uranium has already been used, as in, it's been through a full-blown nuclear reaction. The problem? Nuclear reactors didn't exist 1.8 billion years ago. This thing dubbed the Oklo reactor wasn't some random natural phenomenon either. According to Nobel Prize-winning scientist Glenn T. Seaborg, the conditions needed to create this kind of reactor are so precise that it's basically impossible for it to have happened without intelligent intervention. The water purity alone would have had to be controlled at a level we struggle to maintain even today. So either ancient civilizations had nuclear power before we even existed, or, and hear me out on this, someone from the future accidentally left their reactor running and just bailed. Time travel mistake or proof of lost technology? You decide. Number 14, ancient Egyptian power tools. Egyptians were smart, like, we built the pyramids and you still can't figure out how smart. But what if they weren't just geniuses? What if they had a little help from the future? Meet Christopher Dunn, an engineer who looked at the Great Pyramid's construction and basically went, nah, this doesn't add up. Why? Because the markings left behind on some of these stones look eerily similar to cuts made by high-speed modern-day saws. In fact, the grooves found in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid are so precise that even today's diamond-tipped drills would struggle to replicate them. And then there's the granite drilling mystery. Modern drills can only penetrate at 0.002 inches per spin, while these ancient Egyptian drills, 0.1 inches per spin. That's 500 times faster than anything we have today. So, what's the deal? Either ancient Egyptians had a secret high-tech civilization that just vanished, or someone from the future decided to drop off some next-level tools and never came back for them. Number 13. The Madonna with Saint Giovannino. Renaissance artists loved religious symbolism, but a disc-shaped object hovering in the sky with a man and his dog staring straight at it? That's a little too on the nose. The Madonna with Saint Giovannino, a 15th century painting, features what looks exactly like a flying saucer. It's got a glow, a tilt, and an eerie resemblance to modern UFO sightings. Historians insist it's a symbolic light source, but other Renaissance paintings feature similarly unexplained aerial objects, often with beams of light directed at the ground. If time travelers accidentally exposed medieval Europe to flying craft, artists would have documented it the only way they knew how, by painting it. And let's be honest, if this was just some religious symbol, why is some random guy in the painting visibly freaking out while looking right at it? Well, let us know what you think in the comment below. Because real be honest, who doesn't want to talk about aliens and UFO stuff? Number 12. The 2.8 billion-year-old spheres. Let's take a trip to South Africa, where miners keep digging up perfectly round metallic spheres, some with etched grooves running along their surface. At first, people assumed they were just weird-looking rocks, but then things got weird. First off, they're harder than steel, so tough that even modern metal tools struggle to scratch them. Second, the grooves are evenly spaced, almost like they were machined. And third, these spheres are 2.8 billion years old, long before humans, or even dinosaurs, were a thing. Geologists claim these spheres are naturally formed, but skeptics aren't buying it. The symmetry, the grooves, the sheer impossibility of their existence. It's all a bit too perfect. Did someone from the future drop their space marbles while time traveling? Or is this proof of an ancient, lost civilization with tech way ahead of its time? Well, we don't know. But either way, history books might need a rewrite. Number 11. Glorification of the Eucharist. All right, someone needs to explain why a Renaissance painting has a metallic sphere with antennas casually chilling between Jesus and God. Ventura Salimbeni's 16th century masterpiece, Glorification of the Eucharist, features what historians claim is a creation globe. Sure, a creation globe that just so happens to look exactly like Sputnik, the Soviet satellite launched 4 centuries later? Right. It's not just the shape, it's the sheen, the reflections, the thin, protruding rods. Put this painting next to a Sputnik model, and the resemblance is too on the nose. Some theories say it's an early UFO sighting, while others whisper about time travelers slipping space-age tech into historical art. Either a 16th century artist had a direct line to the future, or someone accidentally dropped spoilers for 1957. Whatever the case, this thing shouldn't exist in Renaissance art. We mean, it's 2025, and we still can't make a creation globe that accurate looking. Time travelers or genius artists? You be the judge. So anything can be possible. Number 10. The Nazca Lines. Here's a question. Why did the Nazca civilization carve massive, perfectly symmetrical drawings into the ground when the only way to actually see them was from the sky? These ancient geoglyphs, sprawled across the Peruvian desert, depict monkeys, hummingbirds, geometric patterns, and what straight up looks like an astronaut. But at ground level, just a bunch of random lines. These things only make sense from hundreds of feet in the air, which is exactly what makes them so confusing. There were no drones, no aircraft, no reason they should be this precise. Some say they were messages to sky gods. Others think they were landing strips for something or someone that needed a clear runway. Then in 2022, archaeologists found 150 more of these massive figures, proving that we still don't know the full extent of what's hiding beneath the sand. If these were ancient markers for travelers from the stars, or maybe time travelers, who exactly were they expecting? All right, now, let's talk about Number 9. Grave Niskos of an enthroned woman. A 2,000-year-old Greek carving shows a woman staring at a thin, rectangular object held up at an angle. If this was carved today, it would look like someone using a laptop. The proportions, the way it's tilted, even the tiny holes on the side that resemble USB ports, it's all there. Historians swear it's a jewelry box. Right, a jewelry box that's being held up like a MacBook at an Apple Store demo. Wax writing tablets existed back then, but none looked this modern. If a time traveler left their laptop behind in ancient Greece, this is exactly how an artist would have immortalized it, sculpting what they saw without any context for what it actually was. A tech slip-up, a lost invention, or just a really fancy rectangular box that looks way too much like a modern screen? Whatever the answer, this carving is suspiciously ahead of its time. Number 8. The 2,000-year-old Baghdad batteries. Electricity in ancient Mesopotamia? Someone forgot to tell history because 2,000 years ago, people were building working batteries. Discovered in Iraq, these clay jars contain copper cylinders, iron rods, and traces of acidic residue, all the ingredients needed to generate electricity. Fill them with vinegar or lemon juice. Boom, instant power. Scientists tested replicas of these Baghdad batteries, and they actually produce over a volt of electricity. Not a lot, but enough for electroplating gold onto objects, something that shouldn't have existed back then. No one knows who built them or why. Theories range from ritual objects to forgotten tech. But let's get real. This looks a lot like someone needed a way to generate power before batteries were even a thing. If a time traveler got stranded in ancient Mesopotamia, this is exactly what they'd build to charge something. The question is, what were they powering? Number 7. The Iron Pillar of Delhi, a rust-proof relic. Metal rusts. That's just science, except when it doesn't. Enter the Iron Pillar of Delhi, a 23-foot, 6-ton column of iron that has stood in the open for 1,500 years and somehow hasn't corroded. Here's where it gets weird. This isn't just regular old iron. Modern metallurgists struggle to make iron this pure. 99.72% iron content, no manganese, no sulfur, no usual rust-inducing impurities. Even today's best ironwork can't match it. Theories? Some say it's coated with a natural rust-resistant layer, but no one can fully recreate how it was made. If time travelers were leaving behind indestructible materials, this would be a prime suspect. Was this some lost advanced technology or a deliberate message from a time-hopping scientist flexing their metallurgical skills? Either way, modern industry still can't replicate a 1,500-year-old iron pillar, which is just embarrassing at this point. Number 6. The 150,000-year-old pipes. All right, here's a head-scratcher. In a remote cave near Mount Baigong, China, 150,000-year-old metal pipes were found embedded in solid rock. Pipes, as in plumbing pipes. The issue? That's 100,000 years before humans were even supposed to have campfires, let alone metalworking. And it gets crazier. These pipes are made of a metallic alloy, but about 8% of the material is completely unidentified, as in, we have no clue what it even is. Throw in the fact that some of the pipes lead directly into a nearby saltwater lake, and suddenly this starts sounding less like ancient plumbing and more like an alien gas station. Geologists tried brushing it off as a natural phenomenon, suggesting they were formed by volcanic activity. But guess what? There's no volcanic activity in the region. So either ancient humans were way more advanced than we thought, or someone, or something, set up a high-tech pipeline system long before we showed up. Time-traveling engineers? Sounds ridiculous, until you realize we can't even explain this. Number 5. The London Hammer. A hammer isn't exactly groundbreaking, unless it's encased in 400-million-year-old rock. Found in Texas in 1936, this London hammer has a wooden handle partially fossilized and an iron head so pure that modern scientists can't explain how it was made. Here's the problem. The rock surrounding the hammer is estimated to be over 400 million years old. That's before dinosaurs. That's before trees even existed in large numbers. So why is a modern-looking hammer stuck inside it? Some geologists argue that minerals simply formed around the hammer over time, encasing it like a slow-growing shell. But even if that's the case, the hammer itself is still a technological mystery. The iron is so perfectly smelted, it would require 20th century level refinement techniques. Either this hammer somehow time-traveled back hundreds of millions of years, or history has way bigger gaps than anyone is ready to admit. Number 4. The Antikythera mechanism. All right, let's break this one down. In 1901, divers off the coast of Greece found a lump of corroded metal in a shipwreck. At first, no one thought much of it, until they realized it was gears, dials, and cogs from an insanely complex mechanical device. Now called the Antikythera mechanism, this thing is over 2,000 years old and functions like an ancient analog computer. It could track celestial movements, predict eclipses, and keep time with a level of accuracy unheard of until the 18th century. How? That's the real question. The level of engineering in this device is so advanced, scientists believed it was a hoax, until modern X-ray analysis confirmed that it really was built over 2 millennia ago. If the Greeks had technology this sophisticated, why did nothing like it appear again for another 1,500 years? Did a time traveler drop off some knowledge and then disappear? because this is a giant historical leap that makes zero sense. Number 3. The Voynich manuscript. A book filled with strange symbols, bizarre plant illustrations, and diagrams of unknown constellations written in a language no one has ever seen before? Yeah, that's the Voynich manuscript, and to this day it remains completely unreadable. Discovered in 1912, the book is at least 600 years old. But here's the weird part. No one can decode it. Every attempt at cracking its script, from linguists to AI, has failed miserably. The plants don't match any known species, the astronomical charts don't fit any recognizable constellations, and the diagrams look technologically out of place for the 15th century. Some believe it was written by an alien. Others say it's a medieval hoax. But what if it's neither? If a time traveler wrote down knowledge from the future, this is exactly how it would look. A book completely out of sync with any era in history. Number 2. The Ubaid lizardmen. In Mesopotamia, 7,000-year-old figurines were discovered depicting humanoid creatures with lizard-like faces, elongated skulls, and large eyes. These Ubaid statues, found in what is now Iraq, all share the same eerie features, and nobody knows why. Mainstream archaeology calls them ritualistic idols, but let's be real. Why would an entire civilization worship beings that don't look remotely human? Even weirder, some of these figurines appear to be wearing tight bodysuits and holding objects that resemble modern devices. Theories range from alien visitors to advanced time travelers dropping by ancient Mesopotamia. If the Ubaid people were just using their imagination, why do these figures consistently have technological-looking details? Either someone from another era left an impression, or we're missing a massive piece of history. Whatever the case, these figurines are one of the strangest anomalies ever discovered. Number 1. The Rajasthan nuclear site. Near Jodhpur, India, a site with radiation levels comparable to Hiroshima was founded, except there was no known nuclear event there. The Mahabharata, an ancient Hindu epic, describes a catastrophic explosion with blinding light, extreme heat, and mass devastation, eerily similar to a modern nuclear blast. Skeletal remains found in the area show traces of radiation exposure, and the land is covered in vitrified sand, which forms only when temperatures exceed 1,500 degrees Celsius, about the same as a nuclear detonation. The city appears to have been abandoned in a hurry, with no clear explanation as to why. Did an ancient civilization develop nuclear technology and wipe itself out? Or did someone bring future weapons back in time? If true, this could rewrite everything we think we know about human technological progress. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.